Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple's virtual Sunday Dharma service. We will begin the service, as usual, by singing the Vandana Ti-Sarana. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Abhidavus, Namandao, Namandao, Namandao. The sutra for today is 12 Homages, and this is found on page 120 of the Red Service book. Namandao, 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 Namandao. Gods and men all bow in awe to Amida the revered in Buddha's wondrous pure land. Bodhisattvas gather round, golden form like the mountain king, steadfast like the elephant's pace, Buddha's eyes like the blue lotus. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha's form round like the moon, bright like thousand suns and moons. Buddha's voice like the nightingale. Thus I bow to Amida, Buddha's figure on Kanon's crown, adorned with wondrous features. Buddha subdues evilness. Thus I bow to Amida, beyond compare Amida's pure virtue shining clear like space. All benefit from Buddha. Thus I bow to Amida, Bodhisattvas all renowned, Maras to praise Amida, primal vow made for our sake. Thus I bow to Amida, Golden ponds where lotus bloom, towers a throne of goodness. Buddha lives like the mountain king. Thus I bow to Amida. Bodhisattvas come afar, attaining true happiness. They revere the Buddha's face. Thus I bow to Amida. All life changes like the dew. We have no permanent self. Buddha teaches this law to all. Thus I bow to Amida. No evil in the Pure Land, and no fear of evil paths. Faithful hearts honor Buddha. Thus I bow to Amida, saving us through many ways. No tempters, no evil friends. Birth leads to enlightenment. Thus I bow to Amida. Amida, thus I have praised virtues boundless like the sea. These virtues shared with others for birth into the Pure Land. Shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namandao, 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 Namandao. The recitation for today is the Shinshu Pledge 1, and this is found on page 6 of the Red Service book. I take my refuge in the vow of the Buddha, reciting the name I will live through life with strength and serenity. I revere the light of the Buddha. I will put my effort in my work with self-reflection and gratitude. I follow the teachings of the Buddha. Discerning the right path, I will spread the true Dharma. I rejoice in the compassion of the Buddha. I will respect and help others and do my best for the welfare of humankind. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandavus. Namandavus. Hi, good morning once again, and welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple's annual Father's Day observance. This year we are doing this a week early because next Sunday, as I mentioned, we will be observing a very special service called a Juneteenth service. So please, if you are able to, come and visit with us at that time and learn more about it. Let's put our hands together in reverence as I read the words of the Buddha. It is important for children to repay their parents for their gracious kindness, even if they carried their father on their right shoulder and their mother on their left shoulder, and even if they should bathe the bodies of their parents in sweet-smelling ointments for many years and serve their parents as an ideal son or daughter would, and gain a throne for them and all the luxuries of the world, still we could not repay them for what they have done for us. Buddha's province abides in homes where the parents are held in respect. Indeed, the parents are Buddha's providence. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much. And good morning, and an early Happy Father's Day to all of you on this most auspicious day for those of us who call ourselves fathers, and for those who are doing double time as well. This is our day, not only for the fathers, but also, I might add, those that are caretakers for children, both young and adult. The funny thing is that on Mother's Day, as was celebrated just last month before the pandemic, people, both children and spouses or significant others, will take them out for a fabulous brunch at Waikiki, or to dinner at one of the more upscale restaurants like Restaurant 53 by the Sea, and pay upwards over $100 per person. But when it comes to Father's Day, what do we get? A $7 pancake breakfast with a ticket bought by us and cooked by the Lions Club. Our breakfast consisted of 2 dollar-sized pancakes and 2 slices of Portuguese sausage. Plus, to top it off, we have to go there and stand in line with the rest of the fathers to pick it up ourselves. Somehow I fail to see the equality in all of this. Which reminds me, when my kids were young, maybe around 6 or 7, one of them made this brilliant statement. He said, "Daddy, I know why mommies and daddies are important." So I bit the bait and asked, "Why?" And then he said, "Mommies are important because they take good care of us all the time. They feed us, buys us our clothes, and takes us to the doctor." So I asked, "What about fathers?" Then he said, "Oh, fathers are important too because they go to work and they bring home the money." But of course, that's not true anymore because now both parents share in this endeavor both at home and at work. Next week and throughout the day and evening, many people in Hawaii and throughout the world will be celebrating what is called Father's Day. Here in Hawaii, we have a wonderful tradition of outdoor barbecues at the homes of families and family members, deciding on what to bring for the yearly get-together and what to get for our dads. As COVID-19 wanes, we will be able to do this, although in a modified way. Originally, Father's Day all began in the early 20th century to complement Mother's Day. It is said that the first Father's Day was observed in a church in Fairmont, West Virginia on July the 5th, 1908. But it didn't become an official holiday until 1966 by President Lyndon Johnson. Then it really became popular when Macy's, one of the major shopping centers, supermarkets, and all the advertisers picked up on this. Now, a one-day event has become a 3-week event. Some interesting tidbits I would like to relay to you, and maybe you know some of them. In Argentina, there is an attempt to change the day to coincide with the date when the father of the nation became a father. In Costa Rica, and other Catholic countries, it is celebrated in honor of Saint Joseph. In Taiwan, it is observed in August 8th, the 8th day of the 8th month. In Mandarin Chinese, the pronunciation of number 8 is Ba. This pronunciation is very similar to the character read as Ba, which means Papa or Father. The Taiwanese, therefore, usually call August 8th by its nickname, Baba Day. Years ago, I wondered when I was going to celebrate my own Father's Day. Although throughout most of my childhood and adult life we celebrated this day, it was actually in honor of my own father. I remember that as a young boy, we wished our grandfather a happy Father's Day, and all he did was laugh. However, I feel very fortunate that I was able to celebrate Father's Day for my grandfather and later my own father until I was 60 years of age. Well, it is very important for each of us to reflect deeply on what our fathers and both our parents have gone through to nurture us and make sure we were always within their sphere of influence and care. We should also reflect on the causes and conditions that have allowed or enabled us to be born in this world. Sometimes, as I was growing up, I wondered how it would be like to be born in a different kind of family. You see, we had a father who was a strict disciplinarian with a short fuse, a very short fuse. One day when I was 6 years old, around there, this was during the war years, all the adults and students alike were required to carry an identification card in our possession. So my father took me down to Kawaihao Church, I remember, that was taken over by the military at that time, and got me an ID card. And he told me over and over again on the way home not to lose it, carried with me at all times. Well, I lost it. And when I told my father about it, boy, did he blow his stack. He started to try and get me, but I ran away from him. He just chased me around and around in the back of the house. I weaved my way around for a while, and then I had this bright thought. Well, he will catch me anyway in time, and I'll get it anyway. So I may as well stop and let him catch me. So I stopped and waited for him to really give it to me. But he didn't. He just looked at me and he said, "Gee, you're fast. Okay, I'm going to get you a new card, but next time, don't lose it, okay?" Maybe he was too tired to punish me. Who knows? But then when I recall the many times my father used to leave his grocery store in Pearl City Peninsula to take us up into the mountains of Pearl City Heights and into the deep valley below the Waimanalo home area to pick mountain apples and just to play in the valley for hours on end. I have to tell you of this one experience I had with my father. The Navy was digging this huge ditch in front of our house and store that ran alongside the length of the street. They did this to lay a sewer line. Well, once it must have rained heavily day and night, and the entire ditch was filled with rainwater. Well, he went out, he looked at the ditch, called out to me and said, "Hey, you want to go swim in the ditch?" I said, "Yeah." So I changed my clothes and jumped into the ditch and had a grand time. Well, my mother, though, wasn't too happy about it because I was covered with muddy water. And now she started screaming and yelling, not at me, but at my father. I was just laughing to myself. So I'm grateful for the experience and the memories, although he was very stern and a no-nonsense man at times. Through the teachings of the Buddha, we come to understand that we are what we are through our fathers and mothers. The life that we have is our own life and nobody else. It is my life and mine alone. If there are any changes, or if we can make any changes, then it would not be us. Change our parents, and we would not be here. Change any circumstance, and would not be us. Let me tell you this, I'm here now because of my father and mother who gave birth to me. My father had his father and mother, and so did my mother. They both had their sets of parents. My grandparents also had their set of parents, and so did my great-grandparents. It is said that if we go back just 10 generations, we would have 1,024 direct ancestors. If we go back 20 generations, we would have had 10,485,762 direct ancestors. If we go back 40 generations, we can count 1,099,511,627,776 direct ancestors. So our lives then are made up of many, many lives of our ancestors. And if only one, just one, of the trillion or more ancestor is missing, then we would not be here today. Today, American lives are very different from the way most people lived in the past. Now, both parents have careers of their own. There are single parents, married couples opting not to have children, same-sex marriages, or even new roles that parents have taken on. These are some of the new lifestyles in our society that have been characterized by global issues, diversity, technical advances, and constant social development. But there is one common thread that ties us to all humanity. We were all brought into this world by our parents. So therefore, when we reflect on how we came into this world, we should also truly reflect on the causes and conditions that enable us to be who we are. Although this one day of the year in which we honor our fathers with gifts of cards, candy, or pancake breakfast, courtesy of the Lions Club, or a dinner out, this is a wonderful tribute to them. There are really opportunities for us to realize how I have neglected and taken my parents for granted the rest of the 364 days of the year. They have given of themselves unselfishly all these years, asking for nothing in return. Their unconditional love, tough love when necessary, is universal. The analogy of Amida Buddha's love is compared to that of our parents is often quoted. However, Amida's compassion is extended to everyone, no matter who they are, with no conditions attached. It is given freely. In the Tanisho, chapter 5, it says, I, Shinran, have never once uttered the Nembutsu for the sake of my father and mother. The reason is that all beings have been fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, in the timeless process of birth and death. He writes that when I attain Buddhahood in the next birth, each and every one will be saved. This is the Buddhist ideal of the universality of Buddha in all beings. Shinra's understanding is that all sentient beings had been his father, mother, sisters, and brothers during his innumerable past lives. Not in a literal sense, not in the physical reincarnation sense, but in the Buddhist universalism that transcends all social, racial, ethnic, and political obstacles. We are one. The gratitude we show to our parents should be extended equally to all beings. Recognizing and appreciating our connectedness to our families is a gateway to move beyond ourselves and to be able to see our connectedness to all else. In the Shin Buddhist tradition, that is why family gatherings, socials, and memorials are encouraged to get together to share the time of our lives and the trials we must go through. Most of us have warm feelings and stories or memories of our fathers. Fathers are not just someone who provided the genes that shared in our physical makeup and characteristics, but also the ones who provided watchful support and guidance day in and day out. Someone once said that by the time a man realizes that maybe his father was right, he usually has a son who thinks he is wrong. Mark Twain once said, "When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years." Well, happy Father's Day to all. Thank you for listening, and please join me in Gassho. Although my eyes, blinded by passion, do not see the brilliant light which embraces me, the great compassion never tires, always casting light upon me. Through the benefit of unhindered light, we realize Shinjing of vast, majestic virtues, and the ice of our blind passions necessarily melts, immediately becoming water of enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. The Gatha for today is the wondrous gift of peace, and this is followed by the Nembutsu. Namo Amida, Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Being able to deeply hear the Pure Land teaching with my total body, and by being embraced in the great compassion of the power of the primal vow, I find myself reflecting deeply upon my repetitious, selfish lifestyle driven by greed. How infinite is the compassionate aspiration of a father. Namo Amida Butsu. Well, thank you very much for attending this virtual Dharma service, and hope to see you again next week at 9 a.m. We will be observing what is called the Juneteenth service. And our guest speaker at that time will be Ed Young of the Baha'i Faith. Thank you. In the meantime, take care.